guys, it's Phil the MMA Dude back with the Split Decision Podcast, episode number 64, here with my always brilliant co-host, the Fight Geek. Fight Geek, UFC 249 happened, bro. It happened. How you doing?
Doing great, man. Happy to actually have some fights to break down, more to predict coming up. Excited. It was crazy fight night.
Crazy night of fights UFC 249 was. We have got so much to discuss today, folks. We've got that UFC 249 recap and review. After that, we're going to jump into a really quick preview and picks for UFC Jacksonville Part 1, Lionheart versus Teixiera. Now, we already did our full fight card picks on last week's episode, so if you want to hear the full fight card picks, check out episode 63 of the Split Decision Podcast. We're going to quickly go over the main card. Then it's on to preview and picks for UFC Jacksonville Part 2, Overeem versus Harris, and then my favorite section, listener questions and more. But Fight Geek, we're going to skip the usual opening question for you, and we're going to move right into UFC 249 because there is no time to waste today. What did you make of the event? Was it overall a success or failure? Obviously, Dana White took a huge chance doing this in the middle of the pandemic.
Yeah, simply put, I think it was a success. I think early reports are did 700,000.
700,000 plus pay-per-view buys on ESPN plus pay-per-view, which is even harder.
Exactly. So I think that's a good number for them. Action-wise, the fight absolutely delivered. Obviously, the Jacare situation was a little strange. So I think it was probably a B plus if I had to give it a letter grade, but certainly enjoyed the night of fights. What about you?
Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, as someone who, was concerned, of course, I am concerned still about how COVID-19 plays into all of this. I would go so far as to give them an A minus. Now, I realize I already hear people saying, yeah, let's wait 2 weeks, right? Because symptoms can only become clear sometimes after 2 weeks. We may not see the effects until 2 weeks, but I'm still going to go out on a limb and guess that this was a relatively safe and successful event. I think that Jacare showed the system worked. It was quarantined, it was found, he was removed from the card. So I think it worked.
Yep. Yeah, that's fair. Before we get into everything else, what about some of the nuances of not having fans? What did you think of that as far as fighters being able to hear the announcers? Obviously, you were able to hear the impact of punches much more clearly than you normally would. So I think that there was some different aspects to the fight night than usual. What did you think about those types of things?
Yeah, absolutely. This is a great question because at first I thought that something was really missing. And obviously, look, I am, of course, a fan of a huge crowd at UFC events. I've been to 3 of them. I know the energy the crowds bring. That will always be ideal, always. Having said that, there's a uniqueness to hearing it silently that I could argue is preferable in a strange way. Now that, again, I still prefer crowds, but it was special getting to hear the silence. I didn't think it affected the enjoyability factor whatsoever. What about you?
No, I don't think it affected the entertainment value at all.
Not at all.
I do think there was some things like for instance, let's just jump into the main event. Towards the end of that fight, I think there was a lot of similarities between Lawler, McDonald 2 and Gaethje versus Ferguson. Because at the end, both fighters just, didn't want to give in, but it looked like their bodies had given in. Tony had actually a physical reaction to that last jab that almost looked like it was involuntary. It was just a natural reaction to pain, and he had enough, is the way I kind of read that. But I thought it was very bizarre without the fans cheering during the finishing sequence, especially considering the damage that Tony was taking. Every single shot he took in that 5th round sounded like a baseball smatting right into a mitt. He was just getting blasted. So I think it really enhanced the brutality of it for me, being able to hear it that way. Because obviously in that finishing sequence, the crowd would have been going crazy. It would have been just absolute madness with Tony and kind of being finished. So I think it did add a bizarre element to it for me anyways.
Yeah, absolutely. We could. I don't want to get too far into the woods on this one because we have so many great listener questions that ask a
Fair
lot of
enough.
this stuff. But it's very funny you say it reminded you of Lawler McDonald too, because the truth is I completely agree. I couldn't agree more. The two fights were extremely similar in that in Lawler McDonald 2, Rory's body seemed to override
Will.
his
His
mental
will.
will. Right. It overrided his will and it just said that it had had enough. Tony reminded me a lot of what happened with Tony where he started kind of shaking his head and it almost didn't even look like voluntary, right? It was just
Right. It was like something was wrong, and he was like trying to correct himself,
right.
and it was yeah. So
Both bodies, I would say, quit before the mental will broke.
100%, and that's where that comparison comes from. Because obviously, I think Lawler McDonald too was a little bit more competitive than this fight. But I do think that Tony had some moments. He obviously dropped Gaethje in the
Tony
second round.
almost finished him at the end of the second.
Yes, that was
He really did.
very
He
big
really did.
shot. So he did have a couple moments, but I do think he was. I mean, I don't think I know he was clearly, outmatched at least on that night, stylistically, and Gaethje was just on point. I don't think we've ever seen him on point like that.
Oh, it was the look. I knew that Gaethje could win. Obviously, I chose Tony, as everyone knows. I went 10 for 11 on this card, and I got the main event wrong. I went for Gaethje. I knew Justin could win if he fought his best fight ever. Boy, did he fight his best fight ever by far. I mean, times 10.
Yeah, I mean,
I've
and,
never
and
seen him look
if you
this good.
go back and watch it, he's really enjoying himself and he's really, really comfortable. If you watch that fight, he's interacting with his corner. He's kind of jovial in a way. He's obviously working hard, but he's very comfortable. He's landing all of the stuff he wants to be landing. He's landing the leg kicks. He's landing that counter left hook. You know, I think he showed us, and I'm a big fan and I picked him to win. I knew that he hit hard, and I knew that Tony gets hit a lot. I think that's exactly what played out. I just may have underestimated how game Tony is and what kind of a chin he has because, like, the shots he was taking, like I said, it was getting uncomfortable with no crowd. It was just thump after thump after thump, and it was just heavy. So yeah, unbelievable performance by both guys. Actually, super impressed
Oh yeah.
with Justin. Tony, I mean, nobody's perfect every time. You're on a 12-fight winning streak. Now he's won 12 out of his last 13. His winning percentage is 95%, and people want to call him overrated.
I was gonna say,
I
have you
don't think
seen
that's
how much
fair.
MMA Twitter is saying Tony was never top 5? He's not
Well,
even
that's
top
that's just
10.
that's how MMA Twitter can be. Whatever. That's
Right.
completely ridiculous. If you don't respect Tony Ferguson's win streak, you've probably started watching the sport after it started. So
Yeah, I mean, and it's not. It doesn't even get me. By the way, it doesn't even get me mad. I just quickly mute the person and move on because all it says is my opinions aren't worth reading.
you know what
So
it
you
does
just
to
mute it and
me.
it's done.
I'm like someone like Tony Ferguson who takes fight after fight to keep busy, to entertain us, who has a personality, who's active on social media, I mean, if you love this sport, you love it because of characters like Tony Ferguson. So why on earth, when he's has, a bad night, an off night, gets beat by a virtuoso performance or whatever, why would you take any joy in kicking a fighter like that when he's down, especially considering you are claiming to be a fan of the sport, and that's the kind of fighter that embodies the sport. So it's just hypocritical to say things like that, in
Okay.
my opinion.
Yeah, and right before we move on, you've set it up perfectly. I have to ask. You're speaking about kicking Tony while he's down. So Conor McGregor has been tweeting up a
Wow.
storm today. First, he tweeted an image of the Twin Towers having just fallen and a firefighter overlooking it in a response to Justin. I'm being told that was an insult, a supposed insult to Ali. I'm horrified by that behavior. It disgusts me in a special and different type of
It's,
way.
I mean,
It's disgusting.
it's
Fight
just
Geek,
not
it's
necessary.
disgusting, Fight Geek. It's disgusting.
Well, I think it depends on what side
It's
of the coin you're
despicable
on.
stuff, bro.
Oh, you're talking about from Connor, right?
Connor's 9/11 tweets.
Yes, I
to
get
promote
it.
a fight. My God.
Well, he's just trying to poke the bear now because Ali is the manager. Obviously, it has nothing to do with Justin. This is trying to go through his manager. He's trying to strike a fire with his manager to get that fight. This is Conor not having the leverage he once had and just being desperate to try and get them pissed off enough to take the fight with him before each other.
This is
right or wrong.
Absolutely. And this is all I'll say on it, and then we will move on. I don't want to talk about this too long. All I will say is that, in January, Gaethje said that McGregor was a bad husband, father, and human being, and that he would fight him in Dublin or wherever he wanted.
But you know that was
McGregor
Ali
chose
tweeting that, though.
Listen,
right?
and McGregor chose to fight Donald Cerrone at 170 pounds. He was, by the way, he said nothing back. Nothing. He took it like a little boy eating supper. Then, now the moment Justin is booked to have to fight Khabib, because he won the interim belt, now Conor is saying, I'll rattle your teeth, I'll have your teeth of bones. Is this the Conor McGregor that we were fans of from 2013 to 2016? It wasn't the Conor McGregor that I know. This is a new man. This is a stranger.
No,
this is a stranger.
This feels like the Conor that was chasing down Khabib for that fight when he was, hell bent on.
Why didn't he fight Justin in January? Now he's talking back now?
Yeah, it doesn't look
Are
good.
you kidding me?
Tweet said it. I think your tweet said it all. I'm not disputing what you're saying at all.
Yeah, and if anyone doesn't know, I said, Conor McGregor is the type of guy to basically, or whatever. I don't want to get into it. Just, you guys know. And let's move on to the co-main event. Let's move on. Dominick Cruz versus, there's so much to talk about. Dominick Cruz versus Henry Cejudo. Really interesting little fight. I actually thought that, first of all of the so-called MMA expert bettors all took Dominick Cruz, Fikey, just so you know. So we were on the outside looking in. They were all looking down on us. Right?
I kept saying it'd been,
They're all looking down on us. We're the idiots. And sorry, guys, but, I don't know what you were thinking. Come on.
I mean, there's two sides of the coin here. I think people still don't want to wrap their mind around how good Henry Cejudo is, one.
Exactly.
And, Henry Cejudo's a top 3 fighter pound for pound in the world right now. He's a serious problem. He outstruck Dominick Cruz pretty comfortably, and he's a wrestler. So he's made that full transition. Not only that, but Henry Cejudo is an absolute tested game champion now. If you look at what he's been through, he went through some big drama and adversity versus Marlon Moraes and came through. In this fight, although he was in full control, in my opinion, he gets headbutted, a cut splits him open.
Accidental. In Cruz's defense, that was totally accidental.
Well, is it adversity nonetheless?
Absolutely.
And you know what he does? He locks in and he finishes him 10 seconds later. I think that Henry Cejudo has absolutely showed everybody all of it at this point. I mean, he's a complete fighter. He's got the striking. He's got the IQ. He's got the wrestling, obviously. Then he has the ability to make adjustments, and he's, can make great decisions in crucial crunch time. I just couldn't be more impressed with him. Even though Cruz didn't look great to me, Henry did look great.
Yeah, and by the way, up to getting caught with the knee, I actually thought Cruz looked okay. I mean, he didn't look like he didn't look I don't think he humiliated himself, not at all.
No, he didn't humiliate himself, but I think there was a clear class difference right away. I don't think that Henry was respecting Cruz's punching power, which not many people do, but Cruz wasn't. I mean, after the first round, after the first few minutes, Cruz wasn't really bouncing around all that much. He started getting a little more stationary. He slowed down incredibly quick, and he started getting hit. He wasn't offering much in the way of the response.
Absolutely. So quickly jumping forward. So obviously, Henry Cejudo takes the mic, and it's the most triple C form ever. He says, "Hey guys, I've just gotten a girlfriend, and I think I want to start a family with her, so I'm going to retire from mixed martial arts." Which, to Henry Cejudo's credit, is there anything more Henry Cejudo that's ever happened in the entire world than that comment?
he works so hard to be seen and to become a draw, and then the one night where it's actually on the precipice of happening, he decides to retire for his girlfriend.
Well, he's got a new girlfriend. It's time to start a family.
Somebody should tell him that he can have a girlfriend and fight at the same time.
Oh man, that was like the most uncool retirement. That was definitely the most uncool retirement speech of all time.
I think it was so uncool and so like quick and unexpected that it really didn't register with a lot of people, and we just brushed it over. I'm not sure that anyone believes that he's retired.
Yeah, and we'll move on. We'll move on. But I have to ask, Fight Geek. I have to ask you about what Dominic Cruz said after the fight.
Oh, gosh.
After the fight, Dominic Cruz made a very serious allegation that Keith Peterson reeked of cigarettes and, much more importantly, reeked of alcohol during the fight, and insinuated that Keith Peterson was intoxicated during the bout. I was completely shocked by this, as Cruz is usually known as a classy loser. Obviously, that reputation is gone forever. But what do you make of this?
One thing, Cruz isn't like the most classy loser.
He used to
one
be.
Loss where he acted classy. I mean, his
the
whole
one
career,
thing
he's had one loss. I mean, people.
Yeah.
Cruz got this perception as like the beautiful mind guy who everyone adores, but this stuff is the stuff he does. I mean, if you think about the way he attacked Uriah Faber, Uriah Faber is generally a likable dude. You may be, have your rivalry with him, but Uriah Faber is a pretty fun-loving guy who even Conor McGregor took a liking to, the Ultimate Fighter. Henry Cejudo, another guy, who.
Well, Cruz and him in a rivalry. I get it.
He tries to get so philosophical. He doesn't know who he is. He thinks he knows. He kind of talks like he knows more than he does sometimes. I think he talks in circles, in my opinion, and I think that's what he did here. I think he just talked himself into a circle, making excuses for himself. And
I think he talked himself. You say he talked himself into a circle. I say he talked himself into a very serious corner, because this is where I'm going with this, Fight Geek. I want to ask you a question. I think that his allegations have to be taken seriously, first of all, because if Keith Peterson was intoxicated during the fight, he has got to have his career ended. I mean, he has to. It's dangerous.
But that has nothing to do with the UFC.
No, I'm just saying, I think the allegations need to be looked into and investigated. They need to investigate this. But, so if Keith Peterson was drunk,
he's... Based on the fact, yeah? Why, though? I think this is stupid, first of all.
Do you think there should be MMA refs that are drunk in the octagon?
I think you're missing the point. Dominic Cruz took 12 unanswered blows after getting kicked right in the face and put on his ass. I think this is a disgusting excuse.
Oh, no. Trust me. I know. Let me get to where I'm going. No, I know.
I just mean like...
Oh, I know. Wait, no. Let me get to where I'm going here. Okay, so if
Dominic Cruz, the victim, when he got kicked in the face and punched 10 straight times with his face on the mat.
Okay, so this is exactly. So if Keith Peterson was found to be intoxicated, I think he's got to be removed as an MMA
And what I'm saying
ref.
is, even if he was found to be intoxicated, he made the right stop.
Oh my God, dude. Okay, if Dominic Cruz was lying, he cannot commentate ever again. He can't, because he just tried to end a judge's career because he got his ass whooped. That's inexcusable. It's not okay, and it can't be okay. So if that's not true, I don't want to ever see Cruz commentating again.
I don't see how those coincide. One guy's employed by the athletic commission to...
What do you mean, dude? He tried to literally end Keith Peterson's career. End it. Due to a loss. No? Do you disagree?
I don't know. I don't think it's a 100% ending of his career. If they're going to investigate it and they find that he drank, maybe, he gets 6 to 12 months suspension. I don't think it'd be the end of his career.
Okay, personally. But if those allegations are not true, should there be a consequence?
That's all a moot point, because he made the right decision in the cage on the spot. Dominic Cruz had lost that fight and was TKO'd. Yeah, I don't care what he says.
100%. And honestly, I know there's a ton of people thinking that it was an early stoppage. Guys, you lost your money. Come on, just move on.
I mean, was Dominic Cruz knocked out cold?
It's called a TKO for a reason.
Yeah, but I mean, he was kicked in the head, put on his ass, and then maybe landed 6 out of those 11, 7 out of those 11, and Dominic Cruz's face was face planted down on the mat at one point. So I think that's plenty justifiable.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's move on to the next fight. We've got to. I know there's so much to discuss. We've got to get moving on it. So UFC 249's next fight was Francis Ngannou versus Jairzinho Rozenstruik.
This was absolutely frightening. And I usually don't get too shocked by MMA, but this was something where I was like, okay, this is frightening. It looked like he broke Jairzinho's neck with that left hook.
Absolutely, absolutely agree. But here's what's been interesting to me, and again, I don't want to get too into this because we do have a great listener question about it, and I'm actually actively trying to log on to Twitter to ask it, and it's not having it right now. But the one thing I will say is people are saying, I'm hearing so many people push back on me when I said that Ngannou will easily win the heavyweight belt in his next fight. People are saying he hasn't shown any growth. Show me when someone survived the first minute and a half and has wrestled him and then he's gotten over it and he's overcome that adversity. Well, it doesn't really matter if Curtis Blades can't survive 10 friggin' seconds, does it? How does the wrestling... It's like they want Ngannou to be bad enough to get taken down to justify how much he's improved? Are you guys joking? And
but Stipe is having an eye problem right now, right?
I think he's having a fighting and defending his belt problem right now.
What is his injury, though?
No, he has... No, to be really clear... Oh, I want to be so clear. Stipe has 0 injuries and admits it. He says, I'm a firefighter, and this is a coronavirus
You're crazy.
pandemic.
He was nursing an injury not too long ago.
No, I know, an eye injury. You're asking me,
eye injury.
You're asking me what injury Stipe says he has now, and I just said
nothing.
nothing.
I'm just saying, whatever the injury that was most recently a topic of conversation with Stipe was an eye injury, right?
Yes, of course.
So why would you, if you're having trouble with your eyes, the last thing you want to do is go into a fight where a guy's throwing wild haymakers from all different angles.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he's made it through that challenge once. I can understand why Stipe wants no part of that. But at some point, someone's going to have to fight Francis for the belt again. It's just going to have to happen. He's going to end up knocking the whole division out.
Exactly. I mean, look, it's, his
chin is there, I think, so his fight style is going to be kill or be killed. He's not going to go out there and turn into GSP all of a sudden and start point fighting with his wrestling.
Correct.
He's going to come out there. He's going to chase you down, and if you're lucky enough to survive, well, more power to you. Otherwise, you're coming very close to death because that combination he landed up with, Rozenstruik was against the fence, was just hellacious. That was insane.
Yep. Okay, really quick, we've got a very relevant question. This is from Kairos at Kairos MMA. Guys, give him a follow on Twitter and on YouTube. I'm just going to play this question, Fight Geek, and then we'll take it from there.
What's up, guys? Why does the UFC keep giving Francis Ngannou fights? What happens if he becomes champion? Everyone below him, he'll have defeated, including rising prospects. And by rising prospects, because it's the heavyweight division, that means everyone who's above the age of 30, but below the age of 40. Not really a prospect, but it is the dinosaur division. Why? Also, do you think a rematch against Stipe will end in his favor, end any differently? Because one person brought up an important point. Francis Ngannou hasn't really shown us anything from his loss with Stipe Miocic. He showed us that he can knock people out in the first round if it goes his way. But what happens if it doesn't? We haven't seen that yet. I want to know. What's the difference between this Francis and the Francis who got handled by Stipe last time?
All right.
That's a fair question. I think what's different is, Francis has rebuilt his confidence. I think it's well documented that he was a little, that was his first experience at the championship level. His training wasn't on the up and up. I think he was traveling around.
It was UFC 220, guys. That wasn't yesterday.
What I mean. Time is the most important thing. And I think that
it wasn't recent.
Stipe has a little more tread on the tire. So does Daniel. And I think on the other side of the pillow, it's Francis who has more experience, not necessarily more tread. So I think those trends are going in different directions, and I think the intrigue is, have they gone in different directions enough to make that a more competitive fight than it was the first time? And 100%, I think it has.
Yeah, absolutely. So to be really clear and quick, I mean, honestly, as you know, Fight Geek, I'm a big Daniel Cormier fan. I like Stipe, but obviously had to turn against him with the DC stuff. And Ngannou's someone that I like, but that's sort of a third. That's a different. I'm loyal to DC. Let me be super clear. I don't care if Ngannou is fighting DC for the belt. I don't care if he's rematching Stipe for the belt. And I definitely don't care if he's fighting John Jones for the belt. He's knocking out all three inside of one round. All three will get slept inside one, Fight Geek. Am I crazy to say this? Inside one.
I still think if we were to see a Francis versus John matchup, that John is tricky enough, long enough, and defensive enough to last a little while in there for sure.
Are you kidding me? Of all those three, you would take John as the exception? That was one that was like the most obvious.
John's the best defensive fighter out of all three of those, in my opinion.
John would get his head torn the fuck off fighting Ngannou.
Sure he would. You wish. And that loops back around as who else would Francis fight for the belt? I mean, if Francis ends up with the belt after this Stipe DC era kind of comes to an end, that sets up perfectly for a massive fight with guys like John Jones. And then there's always going to be things like Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury out there if Francis Ngannou becomes the kind of star that his profile could be.
Come on. We don't want to start talking about boxing crossovers.
I don't want to start talking about that, but just think about the prospects of Francis Ngannou versus Deontay Wilder or something crazy like that if he were to clean out his heavyweight division.
Okay, so
start seeing crazy super fights.
We're getting ahead of ourselves really, really fast. Who you got if it's Stipe versus Francis 2 this year? Who you got?
I would take Francis in a rematch today.
Okay. As would I. Who you got in Francis DC?
I would lean more towards DC, but his layoff is getting so long now, and he's getting so old that it's getting really harder to call that. But I still think that DC is smart enough and would implement wrestling enough, a la Steve first fight, to make that happen.
Okay,
maybe.
I mean, you guys know how much I love Daniel Cormier personally. And I cannot tell you with a straight face that I think that he would win a fight with Francis. No way. I
don't think that for someone like DC with the legacy he has, it makes no sense to take that Francis fight. Would you want to end your career face down, knocked out cold with that last image whenever you're one of the greatest fighters of all time? I don't think that Ngannou fight makes any sense for DC on any level.
Absolutely. Okay, we better move along before this episode becomes 2 hours.
All right, okay. We're still in 249.
We're so far behind, bro. Quick. Calvin Kattar versus Jeremy Stephens. Unfortunately, we cannot go quickly past this fight because this was my favorite fight of the night.
Brutal elbow from Kattar.
The elbow heard where I've never seen a more ill-intentioned elbow in my entire life, maybe.
What was really nice is it was in short corners as like a counter. Stephens was actually having some decent success. He was busting up Kattar.
Oh, Stephens came to fight. Stephens
always comes to fight. That's why I picked him.
Yep.
Because I didn't know he'd miss weight by 5 pounds.
But that should help.
Yeah, he was. I think he was having enough success to where he lost a little respect and then overcommitted.
He was beating Calvin up. He broke Calvin's nose, I think.
Yeah, so great fight, slugfest. That's the exact kind of fight you want to see out of those two. I think Kelvin Kattar has a lot of interesting fights. For me, I'd love to see him versus Yair Rodriguez next.
Yeah. So I think it's Kattar now. I'm not sure. I think it's
Calvin. It is Kattar, sorry.
Okay, so Calvin Kattar, I was so blown away with how beautiful of he is such a beautiful striker. When his strikes are so crisp and clean, it is an honor to watch them, frankly. Sorry.
Yep.
And
very clean boxing for sure.
Very clean boxing, and that elbow that put down Stephens was one of the baddest things that was one of the baddest things I've ever seen. I mean, that was so badass.
He just put it right on his mouth.
Oh my God! And do you see the split? Just blood starts pouring down Stephens' face.
That was from the follow up.
that was the follow up elbow. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
But no, I mean, Jeremy Stevens has an absolute iron chin and is as game as they come, and he didn't know where he was for about 10 seconds. That was a brutal finish.
Absolutely. And quickly,
Keep
who
it
you
moving.
got? Wait, who you got in Cater versus Zabit 5-round rematch hypothetical?
I want Cater versus Yair. I think Zabit's above them.
Huh. Wow. The Zabit cult will never end until
ranking system.
Bro, Cater would literally end Zabit in 5.
We just saw that fight, didn't we? Like
in 3 rounds when it was the main event, and Zabit became the only fighter in UFC history to refuse a 5-round main event as the main event fighter. Ooh, bad stat.
Hate to be on your bad side. All right, let's keep it moving.
Greg Hardy versus Yorgan De Castro, baby.
Yorgan De Castro broke his foot and absolutely quit for 2 rounds. Horrible fight.
Horrible fight. It literally looked like Yorgan had been paid off. He won a round and was like, okay, now I have to stop.
I don't understand why that was the route he took if he broke his foot or hand or whatever. He wasn't able to implement any game plan whatsoever.
Well, he said that so I really hope that it was his foot and not just a toe, because I thought I heard him say it was just a toe. I've broken my toe in a sparring session and done better.
Well,
I'm being serious.
Kickboxer, I thought. You break one toe, don't you still have like 3 other limbs to use?
Yeah, you can't stop with a broken toe, but maybe it was in his defense, I heard it was a foot. I don't know. Who knows?
Either way, I think he threw less than 30 or...
You shouldn't just quit. You shouldn't just quit like that. It was a real quitter.
Because, right? Hardy was in trouble there in the first round for sure. His leg was chewed up, but, I think it ends up boiling down to good experience for Hardy, which I know a lot of people don't want to hear. But it's 3 more rounds in an adverse situation with his leg chewed up, and it's another win.
And people can hate Hardy, and by the way, maybe people. I'm not even saying people shouldn't hate Hardy.
Well, yeah.
I don't like Hardy.
Whatever they want.
I don't like Hardy. I don't like what he does. But you know what? He keeps winning, and
yeah,
you got.
I'm not the moral police. I'm just here to break down the fights, and as a fighter, I'm gonna continue to break him down. He does move well for as big as he is, but he's obviously still raw. So
do you he'll never be champ though? I really don't. I don't think.
No,
he'll ever
I don't
be
think
champion.
he'll be champ, especially with guys like Francis Ngannou in a similar age range. If you were to put him in there with Francis KOs him in, the first exchange probably.
He'd be lucky if he lasted as long as Rosen. One thing I will say
is that Greg Hardy has shown a chin though. He's been hit a few times, and he really doesn't waver as much as I would expect him to.
Want to test it against Ngannou? I bet it wavers.
Well, yeah. All right.
But yeah, okay, moving on. Anthony Showtime Pettis versus Donald Cowboy Cerrone. This was an interesting one because I picked Pettis. I believe you picked Cowboy. A lot of people said Cowboy.
I did not pick Cowboy. I picked Pettis.
Oh, I was just lying.
You kept trying to pin Cowboy on me all week for some reason. But
it's a conspiracy, bro.
I know a lot of people thought that Cowboy won.
Lots said Cowboy won. I'll be honest, I scored it for Pettis.
I think Pettis won comfortably.
He did look surprised. People get angry because they say this, and it's fair. Pettis did look surprised at the result, and I admit that's true.
Well, who cares? You're in the moment. You're breathing heavy. You don't remember the last 15 minutes. You've been punched in the head 35 to 50 times. That doesn't matter to me. That's reading too much into something like that.
Yeah. And by the way, Cowboys fans, I love all you guys, and I understand why you love Cowboy.
It was a solid performance for Cowboy, no doubt.
It was.
Especially coming off the
was.
Conor performance. But anyone who's watching Cowboy fight today and doesn't see a gear or two missing from a prime Cowboy doesn't know what they're looking at because he certainly is slowing down, clearly.
Absolutely. Okay, next fight on the card, Alexei Oleinik versus Fabricio Verdum, and this is where I really made my money. And by the way, I'm not bragging about making money because I often lose money, such as at UFC 245. Lost just as much money as I made tonight, by far, if not more. But did make a lot of money on Oleinik beating Verdum.
Yeah, it was a horrendous-looking fight. It was just Oleinik throwing wild haymakers, tiring out a fat Verdum who didn't have much. Again, like I said last time, this was Verdum who probably didn't have much of a camp, was not even on the roster, and Dana was throwing him a bone, so he came in, looked horrible. Probably don't expect to see him back anytime soon.
Oh, really? You don't think Verdum's back anytime soon? That's interesting.
Maybe there was a clause saying, like, if you take these Corona card fights, you get another fight just to be fair. You know what I mean?
Fight Geek, I think you're like most famous thing now because I've been seeing people like tweeting about how much they loved your Corona cards, like just the title.
Well, it'll
And you
always
came
be
up
like
with
a
that.
moment in time.
You came up with that. You came up with that.
I'm afraid to hashtag it though.
Oh man. Okay. Anyways, moving on. Carla Esparza defeats Michelle Waterson via split decision.
This one they got wrong in my opinion.
I don't
Waterson
agree,
won
man.
this
I
fight.
scored it. I knew you were gonna say that.
This
isn't battle of who's the hotter. This isn't battle of who's hotter, dude.
No, it's not who's hotter, but both
yes, if
girls
it's
were
who's
at
hotter, Michelle wins by first round TKO.
Okay, fair enough. But what I'm saying is, both girls were at a range and weren't even hitting each other for like the first 10 minutes. They were just like kiaing and throwing strikes.
I honestly think Carla got more done.
I don't. I thought that Michelle got more done, which isn't saying much. You know, it's not really a fight worth arguing over, but definitely didn't agree with that decision.
Okay. Yeah, it was a bad fight all around for sure. Oh, okay. And now moving on to an amazing fight. Vicente Luque defeats Nico Price 3 minutes and 37 seconds into round number 3.
I would say that Vicente Luque is the most underrated action fighter in the UFC. That guy absolutely comes to fight every single time. I mean, you think about the Mike Perry fight. You think about the Brian Barberena fight. I mean, he is a scrapper.
Yeah, he really is. And Nico, scrapper. And by the way, Nico is no softy. I mean, he was brilliant.
No, Nico took a metric ton of damage in that fight. Goodness.
Yeah.
Again, another fight to where with no crowd, you're hearing a guy's face just take shot after shot clean because Vicente Luque, he is a technical straight line striker. He's coming down the pipe when he strikes.
100%, and I was very impressed with Vicente and that performance. Do you have anyone, in mind for Vicente?
Vicente, to me, really seems like that classic, like, gatekeeper guy, where if you can get through him, you're elite, but he's the guy who kind of you have to prove you're elite against. Do you agree with that assessment?
I kind of do. So you're saying he's like the Jeremy Stevens of welterweight, kind of? Because that's Jeremy Stevens to a T.
Yeah, he kind of there. I think we saw where he got kind of to the next level up and struggled a little bit, but against like the Mike Perrys and the Barberenas, he's going to beat those guys, and then he can be competitive against the Wonder Boys and those guys, but I don't see him breaking that top 5. But such an exciting and fun fighter to watch. Dude just goes to war.
Absolutely.
But who do I have next for him? 170. Man, that class is so full of guys. How about RDA?
Ooh. Honestly, you know what? I love it.
Yeah, it makes all the sense. RDA is kind of falling back into the pack. He's an aging veteran, and Luque can have another opportunity to try and prove he's elite, although I'm not sure RDA is like elite right now. But
yeah. Okay, moving on. Oh my gosh, this is going to be our longest episode, bro. This is a big hit.
We haven't even got to the 2 previews.
This is going to be by far our longest episode. Anyways, Bryce Mitchell defeats Charles Rosa via unanimous decision. Look, man, Bryce Mitchell's just special.
That was a legendary grappling performance, in my opinion. That was wild.
And Rosa has some serious BJJ defense.
100%, and he's a good athlete, and he's game. He's not some slouch. It's not like some guy who had not shown any promise. That's a promising guy. I saw shades of, GSP with Colby Covington type pace. I was blown away by his control, his pace, his transitions. I mean, it was nonstop, super duper impressive. Big fan of Thug Nasty.
Yeah, and I don't want to get into too much graphic detail, but isn't this the guy that basically accidentally drilled one of his balls off?
Yes, it is, which means his pain threshold is out of this world.
Right.
And then I think he drove himself to the hospital.
Yeah, he drove himself. Yeah, if no one knows the story, the quick story is that he literally had a drill in his pocket, accidentally leaned up against something, and it drilled one of his balls of his ball sack off.
Not off. It
destroyed it
on the drill bit.
Right. Okay. We're losing we're losing all the listeners.
The fact that this actually happened to somebody.
I can't believe it's real, dude. What?
And the fact that he's such a badass fighter, it's wild to me. But yeah, the dude is crazy, and he has crazy skill. So Thug Nasty, definitely one to watch moving forward. Who do you want to see him fight next?
I just want to know that he doesn't have a drill that's in his pocket. Never, guys, do not put a drill in your pocket. Do not have an operating drill in your
That's what
pocket,
they
bros.
make those big, heavy-duty, like leather tool belts for.
Yeah, there's a reason. Exactly. There is a reason why they don't put the drills in the pocket. But anyways,
Who does he fight next?
Who does he fight next? Oh gosh, I don't know. I was hearing all.
I saw a lot of Ryan Hall.
Yeah, I saw Ryan Hall, but I said, "Yo,
Ryan Hall
that would
deserves
suck."
a higher ranked opponent. He's been in the game longer. He's Ryan Hall deserves a top 15 to top 10 guy, where Bryce Mitchell's still kind of on the outskirts, I think.
Bryce Mitchell. Okay, how about this? I got one. Bryce Mitchell faces the winner of Dan Ige versus Barboza.
No, that's too much for him. Could you imagine throwing Bryce Mitchell in with Barboza right now? No.
I don't know, man. Bryce is.
Don't we throw Arnold Allen in with everybody?
Oh yeah, Arnold Allen.
Arnold Allen always makes sense versus anybody.
Oh man, I feel bad for Arnold Allen. He's like our crash test dummy. We just throw him in with everything. But okay, moving on really quick. We got, oh my gosh, this is gonna be such a long one. Last one of UFC 249. Ryan Spann defeats Sam Alvey via split decision. I won't lie,
You're going to make us break this fight down?
No, we're not going to break it down. It sucked, but I'm so glad Spann won because it was a part of a parlay, and he didn't even, he barely deserved to win, if at all.
But then he was trying to get knocked out late for no reason.
I know.
But did you see him turn Sam Alvey purple with that headlock?
I cannot believe Sam Alvey survived it.
Well, my thing is, why was he just standing in it? Why didn't he try to move?
I mean, I don't know if it's that simple, bro. I mean, it's a submission attempt, but, I hear what you're saying. Okay,
yeah.
Moving on. Hope that was, guys, that was a juicy little recap and review of 249, but there's a lot to discuss. So now we're moving into a very quick preview for UFC Jacksonville Part 1, Lionheart versus Teixiera. Guys, we've already made our picks for the full card. I highly recommend, if you're trying to hear breakdowns on that, to go back to episode 63, where we broke down the full card, but let's quickly do it. And I've got a quick opening Fight Geek. Am I allowed to change picks? I'm going to change one.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
All right, so
I changed a handful. You'll see when I post my picks
great.
tomorrow.
Oh, my gosh. That's not a good thing. But anyways, so for the main event, Carl Roberson versus Marvin Vettori. I'm changing my pick from Roberson to Marvin Vettori. I've got Vettori in that one.
So you're coming over to the Vettori side.
I'm coming over to the Vettori side.
Yeah.
Okay.
Didn't Roberson come in 3 pounds overweight?
Oh my gosh, it's so chaotic with this Wednesday card. I didn't even know.
Yeah, Tuesday morning weigh-ins caught me by surprise, but I am genuinely surprised that we will have genuinely excited for Wednesday night fights. I'm still buzzing from last weekend.
Yeah, I know. And most people that listen to this are going to be listening to it likely after these fights have happened, so we should move it along. But you got Marvin?
Yeah, I'm taking Marvin Vettori here. Like I said last week, gave Israel Adesanya probably his second best fight to date.
Mm-hmm.
Big, strong kid, shows a lot of improvement, and his opponent missed weight. I'm expecting him to win.
Okay, Ray Borg versus Ricky Simone. Who you got?
I'm taking Ricky Simone, kind of just a feeling. Ray Borg made weight, which is a big surprise to me because he generally has problems making weight. I know on paper he's probably the better fighter, but I think Ricky Simone snaps his 2-fight losing streak and kind of starts to cash in on some of that potential that I think he has.
I got Ricky Simone as well. Moving on, Alexander the Great Hernandez versus Drew Dober. I'm sticking with my old pick. I still have Drew Dober. Upsetting.
I still got Alexander the Great. Again, I think he's going to cash in on that high-end potential he has, have a big bounce-back victory, and get another relevant fight.
All right, moving on. Ben Rothwell versus Ovin St. Preux at heavyweight as the co-main event. I still got OSP. Who you got?
Yeah, this one's a little tougher for me. I picked Rothwell on episode 63, but then I saw weigh-ins and was actually shocked that OSP is the same size as Ben Rothwell. That was shocking to see. Well, with that said, OSP's cardio has got to be just the biggest wild card here. I'm going to change my pick to OSP, though. I'm going to take him. I was surprised that he has the size that he has at heavyweight. I think he'll win a decision.
All right, all right. I also am taking OSP by decision. Moving on to the main event, Anthony Lionheart Smith versus Glover Teixeira. The one thing I will say about this fight, Geek, is it's been fascinating with the the MMA expert bettors on Twitter. I'm using kind of quotations for a reason, but whatever. A lot of them, this might age really badly, by the way. A lot of them are saying Glover wins this easily. I just don't fully get that.
I do get that. I
You
think
do get that,
Glover,
okay.
Yeah, 100%. I'm not quite taking Glover, but I think this is a very dangerous fight. Glover looked amazing at weigh-ins. Probably the best he's looked maybe ever, and I don't say things like that really that often. So he's coming in great shape. I do think he has a significant edge on the ground. If the fight goes to the ground, I think Glover can submit Anthony fairly easily. So I really think that
And
Smith
Anthony's trying to submit him. You hear what Anthony's been saying? He's saying, I want to submit Glover. That's what I want to do.
Well, what you want to do and what you're capable of doing are two different things. I think that Glover has a significant advantage there. I think that's his path to victory. Otherwise, I think Smith has the athletic ability to keep it on the feet and to win a striking contest, though, with a little more speed. So, yeah, after all of that, I am going to take Smith, but I do think Teixeira is very dangerous in this matchup.
Yeah, unfortunately, and I really do hate agreeing with you, but I got to take Lionheart by a hard-fought, unanimous decision, probably 48-47.
Yeah, I could see it being close. And like I said, if it goes to the ground, I think that's where the real intrigue. Actually, on the feet, this is going to be...
Smith is a perfectly capable ground fighter, by the way. Very capable.
He is a very capable fighter, except versus John Jones, he offered 0 on the ground. He sat there turtled for, 2 rounds?
That's interesting. I don't recall Jones getting anything close to a submission.
No, but he did 50-40 for him with top control for the most part.
Yeah, because Lionheart chose not to win because of Jones's cowardly flying knee to a downed opponent. But...
Okay,
all right. Okay, so guys, moving on. I think it is now finally time for the UFC Jacksonville Part 2 picks, which is Alistair Overeem versus Walt Harris. Are we ready?
Yep, just fire him off.
All right. Alistair, you know what? We're doing a new thing. We're starting from the bottom of the card and we're going up. I like this. This is we got Don'Tale Mayes versus Rodrigo Nascimento. Who you got?
Gonna take Don'Tale Mayes here. Should be a slugfest. I think Don'Tale will get the KO.
I totally agree. I've got Don'Tale with a first round KO, and I love his name because his mom was definitely thinking of Don't Tell No Tales or something, and I just think that's cool.
Okay.
I
was thinking more of Donatello from the Ninja Turtles.
Shoot. Okay. I hope if you're right, that would be embarrassing for me. Okay, all right. Moving on. Darren Elkins versus Nate Landwehr.
I'll take the damage here by submission.
I got Nate by split decision, baby.
Really? Well, that's a tough test because the damage is a good gatekeeper to try and get through.
Absolutely. Moving on, we got Courtney Casey versus Mara Romero Borella.
I'm going to take Casey here. She's big for the weight class.
Yeah,
okay.
Oh, yeah,
take her by decision.
Okay, she is the favorite. I think it's surprising because I believe her record is 8-7. I've got Mara Romero Borella. This is an underdog pick, guys, so I would take advantage of it. That's my personal opinion by decision.
Fair enough.
Moving on, we've got Jigga Chikatsi. Jigga. I know it's Giga, but it's more fun to say Jigga.
It's Jigga Chikante, right?
I know, but do we have... It's actually pronounced Giga, but I really don't want to say that. I want to say Jigga.
But who said that it's actually pronounced that way? Who told you specifically?
Juice Jackson.
Okay.
Anyways.
All right, Juice is probably right.
Yeah, Jigga Chikatsi versus Mike Davis. I've got Mike Davis, actually. I think Mike Davis is pretty good.
No, Mike Davis is very good, and so is Chikasi. It's going to be a great striking matchup. I think, obviously, Mike Davis is a much better athlete. Mike Davis had that great fight versus Youssef on the Dana White Tuesday Night Contender Series.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe the best fight ever on that series.
Fair. That's fair.
But he still doesn't have the experience of Chikate, if I'm saying that right. I feel like I'm saying paste picante sauce or something. So I'm going to take Jigga by split decision.
Can he just embrace the Jigga pronunciation? It's so much cooler. It's so much more Jay-Z.
Jay-Z probably has that trademarked. I mean,
you're right. That's probably trademarkked.
Jigga probably had to change his original name so that Jay-Z could have his business.
That's what really happened. He's like, my mom just wanted to name me Jigga, not to change it to
Giga. He's like, I'm going to need you to go by Giga.
That's such a shit deal. Oh, man. Okay, I'm just laughing at... Okay. Anthony the Great Hernandez versus Kevin Holland. I got Kevin Holland, but I admit my choice may be a little bit biased because... Oh, wait, this isn't Alexander. Never mind. I still got Kevin Holland. I like Anthony. Never mind.
So in a 4-day period, we have Anthony the Great Hernandez and
confusing.
Alexander.
It's so confusing, bro.
But so you're saying that in 3-day period we get Anthony the Great Hernandez and Alexander the Great Hernandez fighting?
That's 100% the case. 100%.
I'm bound to mess this up 100 times this week.
Yeah, I got Kevin Holland over Anthony.
I like Kevin Holland and Hernandez. I like both of these guys. They're both good fighters. I think Holland has a little more versatility. I'll take Holland by submission.
Ooh, okay.
But Kevin Holland acts an absolute fool. He could come in there and just give a fight away also.
Oh, absolutely. I also have Holland by submission, by the way. Okay, next, moving on. We've got Miguel Baeza versus Matt Brown.
Can you not use your accent? Because I don't know who you're talking about.
My bad. Sorry, guys. Just to clarify that stuff, I try to pronounce it like I think I'm being more respectful when I do this, and it usually ends up being less respectful. So that's...
And I'm just like, I've never heard of that guy.
I'm like trying to be like, yo, it's time for me to be extra respectful and pronounce it correctly, and then I just embarrass myself.
Okay. Well, with that said, gotta take the Immortal here.
Yeah.
Don't even know why, just because he's the Immortal.
I got the Immortal Matt Brown via unanimous decision, and I hope there's a lot more stops than I see on this card, to be honest.
I can see that as a stop, but then again, Matt Brown he's up there in age, so you never quite know what you'll get.
Yep. Next up, Marlon Vera versus Song Yadong. Bantamweight
This
bout.
is going to be another fun firefight. Can't go against Cheeto Vera, one of my favorites. Is he on a 6-fight winning streak right now?
Something like that. I believe he's on a
He has been very impressive, keeps getting better and better. It's Song Yadong, right?
Yep.
And Song Yadong is a very impressive young striker. Didn't he lose his last match, though, by stoppage?
I believe he did.
I'm quizzing you. So, yeah, I just think Cheeto rides that wave, and I think he wins by split decision, but there will be a lot of fast hands and legs thrown in that fight.
Yeah, I'm going to take a flyer on the underdog here. I'm going to take Song Yadong by 3rd round stoppage.
I could never pick against Cheeto, even if I believed it.
All right, fair enough. Moving on, we have got Eric Anders. Eric, ya boy, Anders.
Ya boy!
Versus Christoph Jotko.
Oh, no.
This is a fun one, isn't it?
I wouldn't call it fun, but...
Okay. Oh, jeez. All right.
I know if it gets to the 3rd round, it won't be fun.
Come on, you don't think Anders Jocko's going to be fun? Come on. Why?
Anders is very one-dimensional with his striking.
Which is what makes him fun.
Yeah, he is fun. I give you that. I think Jotko's the better fighter, but Jotko has a tendency to fade as well. So... I'm going to say a sluggish decision victory by Jotko.
Oh, okay. Interesting. I'm going to take Eric Anders by 3rd round stoppage. I think that Jotko is going to get a 2-0 lead and choke. I think he's a bit of a choker. So let me make that kind of uncalled for attack.
You're always down to make some brash accusations.
Yeah,
so.
as I said it, I was like, well, that's uncalled for. Like, what's your problem, Phil? Okay, moving on. Edson Barboza versus Dan Ige at featherweight, baby.
Interesting matchup here.
Oh man, I
don't know
love
what
it.
to make
I
of
love
Barboza
it.
featherweight. I mean, in my mind, I imagine Barboza just killing everyone at featherweight with leg kicks, but it just doesn't work like that. So,
Right.
yeah, I think Ige is going to be very game, but I mean, we're talking about Barboza, who's handled the best of the best in the 155-pound division for a very long time. I'm not quite sure Dan Ige's on that level that he's accustomed to, so I do expect Barboza to get through this one. I'll take unanimous decision in an overpowering striking match.
I got Barboza by unanimous decision.
All
right, moving on. We got Angela Hill versus Claudia Gadelha in the co-main event.
That's a no-brainer. Claudia Gadelha.
All day, every day.
All day, yeah. I mean, I love Hill, and she's looked looked pretty good lately, but I do think Claudia will get her hands on her, get her on the ground, and then be able to impose her power. I think she has a big power advantage.
100%. Unfortunately, it's been a great ride with Angela, racking up all those wins. I personally have a special respect for people that I think make the most out of limited talent and take their careers further, because if anything, if I'm being honest, I think I see myself in that. So I really respect the hell out of it. I think this is where Angela's ride ends, though.
Yeah, because Claudia, even though she's not really at the top of the heap anymore, still does possess that elite ability.
Yep, absolutely. And then moving on to that main event, Alistair Overeem, number 8 heavyweight in the world, versus number 10 Walt Harris. And I'm gonna go ahead and just say I've got Walt Harris winning this one in a late first round stoppage.
Yeah, it kills me to say it because, I've been an Alistair Overeem fan for a very long time. But, I mean, if you just look at his last, 6 or 8 fights, very mixed results with, his face being exploded multiple times. I just think that we're getting to that downside of his career. Walt Harris, although dealing with all kinds of stuff in his personal life, I think we've seen a very impressive trajectory in his last couple fights. Very athletic guy, coming into his own, hits extremely hard. This is his biggest fight of his career. I hate to pick against Alistair Overeem, but I got to take Walt Harris here by stoppage as well. I don't think it'll be in the first round. I think Alistair will last a little longer, but I do think it'll come probably in the second.
100%. All right, so guys, we're going to take a really quick break, and then we will be back with my favorite section, listener questions and more. Hey guys, it's Phil the MMA Dude letting you know that this episode of the Split Decision Podcast is brought to you by TotalAggressionClothing.com. Visit www.TotalAggressionClothing.com and use the promo code 46210 to receive a special Split Podcast discount on all Total Aggression hats, shirts, hoodies, and more. Again, that's www.TotalAggressionClothing.com with promo code 46210. Hey guys, it's Phil the MMA Dude back with the Split Decision Podcast, episode number 64, here with my brilliant co-host, the Fight Geek, and it is now time for my favorite section of all, listener questions. Thank you.
Let's go.
All right, let's do it. Okay, this question comes from @JacobPowers2. Love Jacob. Great follow. Very loyal listener. Guys, give him a follow. He says, who do you guys think Bryce Mitchell should fight next? #AskSplitPod. And we just kind of jumped into this a bit.
Yeah, we just threw Arnold Allen's name out there. Not sure that's the right fight for him, but somebody in
Yeah, it
that
probably is. It probably is, though.
so someone in that fringe top 15. I don't want
Sadiq
to see him against another
Youssef,
grappler.
perhaps.
What I think we need to see his striking, where he's at with his striking. So we need to put him in there with someone who has some good defensive wrestling and the ability to keep it striking and see where he's at. He's proven that he's an elite grappler. Now we need to see what kind of a well-rounded fighter he is.
I forget, does Sadiq have a fight?
I don't know.
It's all so chaotic now, guys. You'll have to give us an extra break here. I mean, come on. It's so chaotic.
Yeah,
but
there's a lot going on.
Yeah,
but
I think Sadiq could be cool.
I think that's a lot to handle for Bryce right now. I think Bryce only is, 3-0 in the UFC?
Yeah, something like that.
So, yeah, you want to bring him along a little slower, especially considering guys like Sadiq and Bryce are both, promising potentials. You don't want one of them to take a loss so early.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Okay. Moving on. This is a question from our good friend and OG, Quinn, that's at Orthodox 1993. And he says, what's next for Glover Teixeira after he subs Smith in the 4th? And he's got a bunch of laughing signs because he knows that I don't like that. Hashtag AskSplitPod.
Well, if that were to happen, I would see something like Thiago Santos versus Glover Teixeira for a number 1 contender fight.
Yeah, and that would obviously be, it is honest. That would obviously be Glover's funeral. Bless him fighting Santos.
Well, you have no idea how Santos is going to come back after what he's been through.
What about Dominic Reyes, by the way? Where does he fit in?
Because Dominic Reyes is in line to fight for the belt again in a rematch. So
last I heard, Jones says, no, I do not want that. I want Jan Blachowicz. I don't want that fight.
Well, in that case, then maybe you can set up Dominic Reyes versus a Glover Teixeira.
Okay.
But I don't think John's in a position to really call all the shots. We'll just see how that situation plays out.
Yeah, I think that's very true. Okay, do you have one on tap, or shall I go?
Sure, I got one from Jokers LL.
All right, Jokers LL, what up? An original OG, one of our good homies. Great follow.
Since Khabib and Gaethje seem to be next for each other, and since Conor has been stirring up drama with Poirier, they might fight each other next. That leaves Hooker without a fight. Maybe Hooker and Oliveira get matched up. Who wins, Conor Poirier and Hooker Oliveira? Well, I'll just comment on this. I don't necessarily see Conor getting a Poirier fight next. I think the fight to make for the UFC and Conor is Nate Diaz 3, as much as people may not want to hear that.
What about Masvidal? You're crazy.
No, I think Conor versus Nate 3 is a headlining fight. It's not an easy win for Conor, but I do think at this point Conor will win the fight. So then Conor will be on a 2-fight winning streak, and then he'll be able to propel that into something even bigger. He's not getting the 155-pound belt right now. Gaethje's going to get that opportunity. I think Poirier should fight Hooker still. With that being said, who would I favor?
Wait, don't you have to do a Hooker Oliveira pick?
Yeah, I would favor Oliveira versus Hooker right now, and I would favor, based on Conor's belligerence, I don't know. That Conor-Poirier fight is so hard to because there's so many unknowns. We haven't seen Poirier back. We haven't seen Conor back since the Cowboy fight, which, I don't know how much that told us. So I would favor Poirier today.
Yeah, as would I. It's honestly just really. The truth is, it's really, really hard to judge McGregor's level. That's the truth, because we've seen him he's
not consistently fighting the elite fighters, so it's hard to gauge him.
We've seen him for 40 seconds against Cowboy, who and look, I know there's Cowboy fans, but he's a human punching bag these days. I'm sorry, he just is.
And then the other elite fighters he really faced in his career, and not bag on Conor because Conor's a stud, but Jose Aldo fight lasted 13 seconds, so we never got to see Conor fair in a fight in the trenches with an elite fighter like Jose Aldo. We just never got the opportunity to do that. Did he spark him? Absolutely. But we didn't get to see Conor's mettle tested versus an elite fighter there.
Well, we haven't seen his mettle test. I mean, forget about the Aldo fight because that was a long time ago. He fought Diaz twice and he fought Alvarez, but I haven't seen him recently. Right? I just want to see him fight someone for real soon. Like a real challenge.
I think he's going to have to fight
No one wants Nate 3 except for the most Conor diehards.
Well, not only that, I think the UFC want that because Conor can win that fight convincingly, and then they can bill Conor. You know, he just beat Cowboy, he just beat Nate Diaz in the trilogy. Now he's worth something. Right now, you know, he's obviously Conor McGregor, but it's hard to bill him as like fighting for the belt.
No, of course.
You know
okay,
I mean?
so you tell me, Fight Geek. Am I being a hater because I said this on Twitter earlier today, I couldn't have less interest in Nate Diaz versus Conor McGregor 3. I mean, I couldn't.
You say that now, but
I couldn't care less.
You would buy it 100%.
I mean, Diaz's face is just scar tissue. Of course Conor will win. Of course. Let's see him really fight some real challengers.
Well, there's no doubt we have to see that fights trilogy, though, right?
I don't know, man. I think it's kind of like dead.
Is it?
Nate, yeah, I mean, if Nate had beaten Masvidal, it'd be totally different.
Yeah, and I think Masvidal, I just saw a post earlier today, he's working with some high-end wrestlers, so that's alluding to him actually fighting. So who knows with the 170-pound division what's going on.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay.
So hopefully we answered that. Let's keep it moving. We got a ton of them. You got something?
Yeah, I do. This question is from Jalen Ware, my man at Strive2B _ great GR8. Guys, give Jalen Ware a follow. He's the man. He says, now that Ferg has lost and potentially he's out until December or maybe January, who can arise and put their name in the title contention hat by the end of 2020? #AskSplitPod. What a great question as usual from Jalen. Go ahead. Who's going to do it?
To be honest with you, outside of Gaethje, Conor, and Tony, I don't think anyone has an opportunity.
The Bronx,
yeah, but let's
Charles
say
Oliveira, baby.
Yeah, but he's not going to have the gravitas. You think that Khabib is going to fight Charles Oliveira in 8 months? No, or 6 months? It ain't going to happen. It takes longer to develop than that. So by the end of the year, there's only 3 people that could even possibly contend for the belt, and it's Gaethje, Conor, and Tony. Now, if you're saying by the end of 2021, then someone like the Bronx and Dan Hooker become possibilities, in my opinion.
Right, Dan Hooker is a overrated journeyman, but that's a side note. I don't like him at all.
Never pass up an opportunity.
He took some serious cheap shots at Tony that I thought were just next level classless, but that's okay. I mean, he's literally calling out Tony Ferguson like he's a tough guy from Tony's hospital bed, saying, "There goes your boogeyman." Okay, Dan, you've made a career of being a 500-plus journeyman. The reason you haven't been cut is because you're friends with Israel Adesanya and he would complain. Sorry, Dan, you fucking loser.
You are getting emotional. None of that made any sense.
Dan's a loser. What doesn't make sense about Hooker being a loser? Sorry, too much? Whatever.
You just want a main event in his home continent.
He's
Sounds
thirsty
like a
as
real
fuck.
loser.
He's real thirsty. Anyways, he's a thirsty loser, and I hope he always loses. Anyways, sorry guys, I took his attack on Tony really bad.
Come on, let's go. You're hijacking the show.
Yeah, okay. So anyways, I got who do I have in Conor Poirier? You know, that would be a really close, great fight. I know that Conor will never sign to do that fight, in my opinion, but it would be a great fight, and I'd probably have Conor, but there's no reason to really look into it too much or get upset with my pick, because guess what? That fight is never happening. So, moving on. Wait. Last question from Jokers. He says, who you got in Hooker? Oliveira. Definitely got Charles Oliveira. Oliveira's for real, you know. He's not just some journeyman like Hooker. So, Oliveira for sure, and just had to put in that last final insult to journeyman Dan Hooker.
All right. At least we know your jab sharp tonight.
Thanks. Okay, Moving on. Pat Tobin at Pat_Tobin, the man, says, how much of a difference do you think the corner advice of Tony and Gaethje affected the outcome of the fight? #AskSplitPod.
I think this is the question of the weekend.
This is such a good question, Pat. So good.
I'm glad that like this was a topic of conversation on MMA Twitter, because after the fight and during the fight, I was dumbfounded. I'm listening to it and I'm like, and then you listen to Trevor Whitman, who's like a maestro, like a beautiful mind. He's got Rose Namajunas and Justin Gaethje like with this beautiful brand of violence that's calculated, and then you have Tony going back to his corner, and it sounds like the Big Lebowski's in his corner with a White Russian. Might have to throw an Imanari, bro. It was a bad look. I think that was probably one of the biggest distinctions in the fight, is that Tony didn't have anybody to go to for an adjustment. He didn't have anybody to go to. I mean, I thought it was bizarre that Eddie Bravo was saying beautiful boxing after the first round.
After lost the first round like a fucking idiot. Bravo looked pathetic. Bravo humiliated. Okay, let me go. Bravo looked
just
pathetic.
Settle down. Can we talk
Bravo
about
looked
it like
pathetic. He needs to be relieved of command immediately. Immediately.
What do you mean relieved of command? This is Tony's
Oh, sorry,
choice.
I meant
He
fired.
selected him.
Fired. I meant fired.
So do you think, I mean, Tony has made a living off of having his own personal close group of friends and his training techniques and his coaches. I mean, I don't see.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know what you do. I don't think you tell Tony Ferguson that he needs to do something different necessarily, but I think that was a competitive disadvantage 100%. I don't think they helped him out, and I do think that there was maybe even an opportunity to throw in the towel if it was a professional corner, and I know that's super controversial.
Well, let's not get crazy here. Let's not get crazy with that, but I'm just kidding. I mean, you're kind of right, but I wouldn't.
With a minute to go in the fifth round, I think it was, if you would have thrown the towel in, obviously Tony would have been pissed, but I think it would have been warranted for sure.
Yeah. I mean, okay, so honestly, I mean, I was listening to Eddie Bravo give advice by, he was saying use sand. He said use sand at one point, and I didn't get that part. I said, oh, use sand is your advice. Okay. Maybe it's time to go, Eddie. And that's what happens when you let someone who thinks the earth is flat kind of run your camp, unfortunately. If you think the earth is flat, maybe you shouldn't be running a top competitor's gym or training camp. So
I know, but what my point is, who are we to say when Tony Ferguson is on a 12-fight winning streak? It's worked for him in the past.
I'm to say it. I'll pull Tony aside and say, Tony, listen, I'm your number one fan, and
So what do you suggest? You suggest
I would suggest getting
head coach?
I would suggest getting a coach who doesn't say use sand. Maybe an Imanari role. That's what I would say.
Like, we're just gonna have to sub this guy, man. Throw in a Minari role. Let's get out of here.
I mean, like, on a serious note, I don't even know shit, and I would have done better. Like, for sure. At least I wouldn't say use sand. Where's the sand gonna come from, Eddie Bravo? Oh, is there sand? Where's the sand?
So, I don't know. It was a very bizarre thing. Bad look for Tony and his team, I think. Didn't look prepared for worst case scenario, which is, getting beat badly and needing to make adjustments. I think that there was no hope for him making adjustments, and I think that's exactly where that fight went. Tony kept going to the well, and Tony kept getting smashed.
Absolutely. Okay, let's quickly keep it moving before this is like double the longest episode. But anyways, this is from Smokey J MMA. Guys, I love Smokey J. Follow him. That's at Smokey J MMA. He is a great guy. He's a great artist. He loves Brian Ortega. Please forgive him for that. He's so cool.
One of the best pages on MMA
cool.
Twitter.
He's so cool besides the Ortega love. I mean, just overlook that. I'm kidding, of course. No, I mean, Ortega sucks. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, I love Smokey J. He said,
Phil, you hate more fighters than you like.
That's not true. Anyway, it might be. Okay, #AskSplitPod. What do you guys think about Dom's comments about Keith Peterson? We kind of covered this quickly, but again, I think it needs to be investigated. If Keith is lying, you got to fire Keith. If Dom is lying, you can't commentate again.
I think he was just making so many excuses that he talked himself in circles and put his foot in his mouth. That's what I
You
think.
keep saying he talked himself in circles, but a circle insinuates you can kind of escape in a circular route. I think he's in a corner
No,
where
talking
he
in a
cannot
circle
escape.
means that you never make a point. That
Right.
You're just
Well,
barfing
he
information.
definitely didn't make a point.
You just keep going, and it's someone else's fault, and you knew better, and you would have done it this way, and all while not realizing that the facts are the fact matter, and they can't be changed. So yeah, I just think it was a lot of talking in circles, and may have bit off more than he could chew.
Yeah, totally agree. Okay, next question is from @Mixta Man. That's @Mixta Doo-Doo. Love this guy. He says, weigh the pros and cons of USADA, and if you think all things considered, it's been a credit to the sport or a detriment. Or, what can be improved and how? #AskSplitPod. Great question from Mixta Man. And I don't give Mixta Man enough of a shout out because he disagrees with me a lot, and then I get petty. But the truth is, all joking aside, that Mixta Man's one of the best follows on Twitter. Okay, so give him a follow. He's a genius.
Agreed.
He's a really good guy.
So back to the question.
Yep.
What is it? I forgot now that you were
Wow.
giving a lengthy shout out.
What are the pros and cons of USADA, and what can be improved?
Oh, my favorite questions. But USADA, I mean, I'm not a fan of USADA. I loved MMA and Pride when they weren't drug testing just as much as I love it now. So, I mean, I'm not sure how much of a difference it makes other than staining fighters' reputations forever.
Yeah, and it's worth noting, I think he's referencing, I don't know, Kelvin Gastelum was suspended 9 months for marijuana. We have
another question about the marijuana, that too.
Which seems a little silly given that John Jones tested positive for Turinabol, and then USADA said, don't worry, homie, we've got your back. We're moving it across state lines.
Pulsing for Turinabol for years later.
That's correct. That's because
it's still been able to fight. Yet, people like Nick Diaz and Kelvin Gastelum have their careers put on hiatus for smoking at a competition marijuana and THC. Makes no sense to me. That's one of the stupidest parts of USADA, and even like in NFL, where they'd rather have people take a bunch of pain medication than, just take herbal supplements for pain management and stuff like that. I think they're way behind the ball on all of that. I think it's ridiculous. I do think that USADA has ruined the reputation of a handful of fighters unnecessarily. They have these lengthy investigations where fighters have to spend money to try and clear their names. It usually ends up being futile. So there's a lot of things with USADA that I have not liked.
Yep.
What they can do different, I really don't know personally.
Yeah, really quick, I just want to ask a connected question. This is from another OG, super loyal Dean R. That's @DeanDog3, @Dean DAWG3. Love this guy. He says, do you think marijuana is a performance-enhancing drug, or should it be up to the fighter? It seems to me it wouldn't give any advantage, maybe just the opposite. #AskSplitPod.
Yeah, I'm not like a physician or...
Come on, bro. We both know that marijuana does not improve.
Exactly,
it doesn't improve athletic perforance. Come on.
It doesn't improve athletic performance, but it can calm nerves. It can, give you a sense of euphoria.
What?
You never got stoned and went on a mountain bike ride and just been in the zone. I mean, I do.
So someone's gonna say that they lost because the other guy was stoned. Then they've got a lot of new problems to look into.
That is true, but I do think it could aid some fighters. I think it depends on who that fighter is, what their lifestyle's like. I'm not saying that I don't believe that marijuana could help in any way. I'm not necessarily saying it's the reason one fighter would lose, but I do think it could help certain individuals perform. Absolutely.
What do you think of the fact it's worth noting? It's not as if Kelvin Gastelum tested positive walking into the event stoned off his mind. They found it in his fat
I'm just
cells.
playing devil's advocate here. I don't necessarily agree that it's a problem.
It's not like he was ripping bong hits and then went to the stadium.
Well, I don't necessarily think that would be beneficial. But let's say you're taking, and again, I'm not a doctor or nutritionist. I don't know anything about this stuff. I'm just kind of talking in jest. But what if you're taking like THC topical muscle rubs and stuff that's put in topically on your skin, and then you test positive for that? Is that a performance-enhancing drug because it's allowing you to recuperate?
No, it's not. And if you lose and you're upset about that, you need to see a therapist about why you suck so much.
Well, then it's kind of a or a double-edged sword though, because a lot of steroids, what they're designed to do is help you to recuperate faster.
You're saying steroids are equal in recuperation to marijuana?
I'm not saying they're equal to. I'm just saying, at the core benefit, that's what they're similar.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Okay, this is from...
Or maybe I'm not. That was maybe the worst answer of all time.
Whatever, no, okay, this is from Octopus Toes, at Octopus_Toes.
Best name on MMA Twitter.
Honestly, I have to agree. Octopus Toes, you know what? You've got a great name. I agree. Hypothetically, let's say UFC scraps the 170 division, starts up a 165 and 175 division. Who fights who in the inaugural title fights? That's a tough one, but kind of fun.
165, that's no-brainer. They put Conor in that inaugural title fight 100%.
With what, Nate Diaz?
Someone he can beat handily.
So no. Nate Diaz. McGregor Diaz for 165
Or someone like McGregor Cowboy 2. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh my gosh.
McGregor versus Pettis for the 165 belt.
Oh my god. Oh
champion versus champion. McGregor versus Pettis.
All right, all the McGregor fans are getting so mad. But honestly, guys, like your guys like sucked recently, so like suck it up. Sorry, McGregor sucked recently, so just like accept it.
That's not a knock on McGregor. That's a knock on the UFC.
Well, I'll knock on McGregor. He's been a loser lately, bro. But okay, anyways, moving on.
Let's say we got to find someone. Conor versus Nate. Nate's coming up. Conor versus Masvidal for the 165 belt.
Yeah, okay, that's a good one. And then at 175. So, I feel like Usman has to be involved. And if I'm being...
175 Usman, and then let's say...
Colby too, but is that too boring? No?
Say Darren Till.
Oh, that's a good one. Usman, Darren Till. That's actually... I like that. What about Usman Adesanya? Because you know Adesanya can make 175.
Yeah, I guess you could do that.
That'd be interesting.
Not overly interested, personally.
Yeah, I mean, they're not going to fight. They've already said as much because they're both Nigerian. They said they're not going to fight.
Yeah, they don't. They said they wouldn't fight Francis either.
Yeah, exactly. Which is understandable, let's be honest. Okay, moving on to, this is from Cyrus King, at Cyrus King. Love Cyrus, one of my OGs. He's got a great podcast, Combat Corner. He says, besides Cejudo, who are other names you would say qualify for the best fighter in combat sports history?
Now, when you say combat sports, is everything open? Boxing, kickboxing?
No, I don't want to do that. I think it's...
You just want to do MMA?
I just want to do MMA, yeah.
Okay. Well, obviously, George St. Pierre, Anderson Silva, Fedor, John Jones.
Yep, unfortunately, yep.
Frank Shamrock.
Yep, Daniel Cormier. You've forgotten Daniel Cormier.
Daniel Cormier, but I wouldn't put Daniel Cormier with the list of the guys I just named.
I would, but that's where we get kind of personal differences.
Jose Aldo.
Yep. Amanda Nunes.
Amanda Nunes for sure. Cyborg.
Yeah. Kind of.
Maybe not.
Kind of Cyborg, but not like, I don't know. Honestly, maybe JJ. Do you want to yell J-Check?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
I mean,
it's hard.
Matt Hughes somewhere.
Matt Hughes, maybe. Obviously, BJ Penn would have to be on there.
Yeah, but it's so weird with how many losses he had at the end. He made it all weird and awkward.
It is weird, but if you just always remember the BJ Penn that destroyed Joe Stevenson and Diego Sanchez, that dude was amazing.
Yeah, agreed.
So just always picture that one that split Diego's face wide open.
Okay. All right, so I think
that's what I do to get rid of the pain.
Okay, all right. So we kind of agree. Yeah.
I guess who else in their prime? I don't know. I like these kind of
to be honest, we have so many questions left.
All right, let's go.
Okay. This is at WWE UFC _fan. How would a McGregor/Poirier rematch go? #AskSplitPod. I think we just answered this a little bit.
Yeah. I think it would be Conor early, but I think Poirier has grown enough to withstand the early charge and then finish Conor late, similar to the way he did with Gaethje. 4th round stoppage once Conor starts slowing down.
Yeah, I think that's highly, highly realistic. I would honestly go Poirier third round TKO, but I wouldn't put
And
any.
I'm circling back around to the previous question. The inaugural 165 belt should be Conor versus Poirier.
Oh, I think you might be right there. I was gonna say, but I wouldn't put any money on it. I wouldn't put a dime on it because I think McGregor could catch him early for sure and put him down for sure.
Yeah, and there would be head games there. I think that Dustin is still the kind of fighter that a la Cowboy, Eddie Alvarez. It does not work for them. So
can you can you repeat what you just said, Fight Geek? You just cut out for about 10 seconds. Sorry.
Yeah, I was saying, Poirier seems like the type of fighter still that, may have trouble mentally with the fact that Conor stopped him before. Conor usually does well with opponents where he has the mental edge. The fighters that he does not have the mental edge, guys like Floyd, Nate Diaz, and Khabib, he generally struggles with. But guys that he really has like gravitas over, the Eddie Alvarez's of the world, they seem to really crumble under that pressure. So I still think Conor would have that going for him. But I think, overall, Poirier's a little more well-rounded of a fighter.
Totally agree. Okay, moving on real quick. We've got a question from Zan Bando. That's at Zan, ZAINBANDO99. Great friend of mine on MMA Twitter, Zan Bando. He also he writes for a great publication, Untitled. And so his question is, question for the week. Should Ferguson get an interim title shot against McGregor? Winner fights the winner of Khabib Gaethje, or does the UFC do something else?
Definitely not another interim title belt. Gaethje just won one. What interim title belt would Conor?
I agree. I think Zan was inferring after, it would be made after that fight.
Once it's unified.
After it's
No,
unified.
there's no need for any more. That would make no sense for me to unify a belt in a weight class and then immediately create another division in it with an interim belt. So I don't see that happening. I think Dana's goal is to unify this thing once and for all.
Once and for all, huh?
I mean, since Conor McGregor got the belt, 5 years ago, the division has not really been solidified. Even Khabib still hasn't fought, never fought Tony. There's fights on the table here. You know what I mean? To unify this.
Absolutely. Gotta agree with you. Sorry, Zan. I definitely agree with Fight Geek on this one. I think they wouldn't be looking to make another one. But again, guys, follow Zan. Great contributor to Fan-Sided. Great MMA journalist in general. And, okay, moving on. Fight Geek, do we have a question from you?
Yes. Did we ask the one from Vic the Dick yet? I don't think we have.
I don't think we have.
He says John Jones, seems to be interested in a catchweight fight at 220 before he goes up to heavyweight. Does this mean he won't fight Adesanya? And if you guys could choose, would you rather see the GOAT John Jones fight Izzy or Stipe? Whoever is the champ, Stipe / whoever is the champ at heavyweight. So, would you rather see John fight Israel or the winner of Stipe and DC?
Yeah, I've always been confused by this question because Israel Adesanya doesn't cut hardly any weight. He's much smaller than John, so I don't understand why anyone would want that fight. Definitely, John is someone who should have been a heavyweight from the beginning. He's got the longest reach in the UFC. It's very awkward that he's a light heavyweight, and he should test his true skills at the heavyweight division.
There's PSA from Phil the MMA dude. I don't see that fight being overly interesting anyways. I do think there's quite a big size difference and experience difference. Obviously.
So then what do you disagree with me for? Why are you saying PSA? You agree with me.
No, it's just because you're so proper with your dismissal of John Jones and his accomplishments.
I just don't know why he's a light heavyweight. I mean, it makes no sense. Whatever.
just being the greatest one to ever live, holding every single record, making millions of dollars,
Are you talking about all of the records for how many drug suspensions and how many times he's lost the belt from cheating?
Those are probably on there as well.
Yeah. Sorry, and one time he lost his belt, to be fair, for hitting a pregnant woman and almost killing the baby, to be fair.
You want to take it away? Got anything else on John before we move on?
No, I think it kind of emptied the magazine there.
All right, so I would love to see John fight Stipe. I mean, that fight has always been super interesting to me. Stipe has always been billed as a smaller, mobile heavyweight. So John is a bigger, long-rangier, light heavyweight. I think that their clash of styles is very interesting. So that would be the fight that I would want to see.
Yeah, I would love to see him at heavyweight. I think he should probably take on Ngannou. I'm sure that Ngannou is way too simple for him and will easily be submitted. And sorry, I'm trying to wink, and it looks like I'm giving an aneurysm. He should fight Ngannou. I'm sure he's.
I didn't realize you were winking. I thought you were having an aneurysm by complimenting Jones.
No. Jones is so good, dude. I'm sure he'll beat Ngannou. He should definitely.
We got more questions. You got
okay, moving on. This is from Proper Vegetables at the Gamer 357. He says Conor tweeted he wants a lightweight fight in July. Assuming it's a lightweight fight, Diaz and Masvidal are off the table. Gaethje's fighting Khabib, and Dana White just confirmed that. Tony's out for a while because of the damage from Gaethje. Is Dustin Poirier his only option? #AskSplitPod. Great question.
Things change quick in the MMA landscape, so it may look like Poirier is his only option now, but I just don't see that fight happening next for Conor. Just call it a gut feeling. I just don't see Conor wanting that fight.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it's adorable how many Conor fans think that he'll sign a bout with Masvidal. It's very cute. It's very adorable. Conor will not sign that bout because he knows what's up. You guys can take whatever you think from that. But adorable, anyways, to think that he might it's really cute. So yeah, I don't know who Conor's fighting next. I don't think Conor knows who he's fighting next. I don't even know if Conor knows where he is. I mean, looking at the tweets from the last few days, I think he's on a different planet on a lot of drugs.
Okay. All right. What else you got for us?
The Darce Knight at J_Lewis79 says, if Triple C is actually retiring, who do you think deserves to fight for the vacant belt? Jan versus Sterling seems obvious, but Aldo's going to feel like he deserves a shot after missing out. And that's without mentioning Sandhagen and Moraes. #AskSplitPod.
Well, first of all, nobody cares what Aldo feels like when he lost his debut in the weight class. The guy has no claim to that belt whatsoever other than the fact that Henry Cejudo was digging for a name to fight. So that's I'm going to dismiss Aldo. But I think you laid it out pretty clearly. I think Jan versus Sterling is the fight to make, and Sandhagen versus Moraes is the #1 contender fight. So you've got a championship fight, and then you've got a follow-up fight in the making for it. I think all of those guys are deserving to be in the mix, and it sounds like a plan. Aldo's got to win a couple fights there. I know perception is that he beat Moraes, but you got to win a couple fights on paper to fight for a belt, in my opinion. Just the way I feel about it. At least two. At least beat two guys, put it on paper, then you can fight for a belt.
Yeah, absolutely. So in short, my answer is Jan versus Sterling seems like the no-brainer. I mean, I seriously, I can't really see.
What about Jan versus Faber too?
Stop. You know I love Faber. Don't be mean.
Man, I went back and watched that one. He put a beating on Uriah that you didn't realize.
Bro, why are you doing this? La 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 la. Wow, this is bullying, bro. This is cyber, and we're on Skype, so this is cyberbullying, dog. Damn, this is #cyberbullying, yo. All right. So, this question's from Matt, the MMA fan. That's at MMA King 18. What do you make of the judges at UFC 249, and which fights would you consider robberies?
Well, robberies, huh? Not sure that there was anything that was a blatant robbery off the top of my head. there was a 30-27. I can't remember which fight was 30-27 that was so bad.
No, I think it was Esparza Watterson. It was one judge had it 30-27 for Michelle, and one had it 30-27 for Carla.
Maybe that was it, and that's the fight I really disagreed with. I thought Michelle won the action in that fight, but then again, I was watching with one eye and barbecuing, and so I could have missed some of that. But other than that, I mean, was there any other super controversial decisions? I mean, a lot of these fights
Cowboy
ended.
Pettis.
I believe that one was correct in my opinion. They got that one 29-28 Pettis, which is the way I scored that fight. I think I scored it round 1 and round 2 for Pettis. Pettis faded a little, and then Cowboy won round 3, right?
Yes, I believe that is entirely correct.
I don't think there was necessarily a robbery. I just think the Watterson fight was probably the most eye-opening, especially having 30-27s on each end of the spectrum.
Yeah, definitely agree. In all honesty, I think that were some of the judging scorecards strange looking? Oh yeah,
there was like 8 finishes on that card though. It's not like we even heard from the judges too much.
I mean, we did hear. I mean, in fairness, we heard from them on. Cowboy Pettis got a lot of hate with that result, and as did Watterson Esparza, even from you. In fairness.
And other than that, they're all finishes, right?
No, that can't be true. No, of course not. No. There were definitely split decisions.
No, they're all finishes.
No, you're
main
crazy.
event was a finish. The co-main event.
Alexei Olenek versus Verdum.
Oh, well, that was obviously easy to judge.
I know. I'm saying I think there were a bunch.
I think a judge gave Verdum that fight, though. One of the judges, didn't he?
That I don't recall. I didn't think so, but it's okay. Certainly possible.
All right, let's keep it moving. We're going on 2 hours here.
I know. Shane Teixiera said that his question is the same one from last week. That is hard, Shane. We have to try to find that. Okay, moving on. I'll try.
Phil's tweeted 578 times since last week.
Probably, though. Okay, this question is from Don Lou MMA. That's at _Don LU. That's
still think that...
That's it. Oh, hang on. And here is Don Lou's question.
What's up, guys? My question is, now that we've seen what Tony's chin can go through and the amount of stamina this guy has, do we still think that Conor can beat Tony?
I love it. What do you think?
Yeah, I was never in the camp that Conor will comfortably beat Tony. I think Tony is a terrible matchup for Conor. I think what Justin has the ability to do with his defensive wrestling is to really keep that fight standing, is what he obviously did. I think Tony's a little more comfortable standing than he should be, especially in a fight where he's losing end up. So, I always thought that Tony presented problems for Conor, especially on the ground and with his gas tank. So that fight today is a pick'em fight, with Tony coming off a loss and there being some unpredictability as to where he's going to be in his next fight. But I don't think that Conor washes Tony by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, not at all. And this is giving me, similar thoughts to, when people are talking about McGregor Gaethje. I think this is another example of, look, we can talk about it. We can, think about it. It sounds kind of fun. McGregor is never in a million years going to agree to fight Tony Ferguson. I think something
like a Ferguson versus Poirier makes the most sense.
Right. But I just want to make sure it's clear out there that McGregor ain't taking no sketchy hard fights.
I would be willing to put money that Conor McGregor is going to fight Nate Diaz next.
Oh, I completely agree with you. That's the easy fight, and he's going to take the easiest.
Poirier and Tony Ferguson can fight each other. Masvidal can fight for the belt.
Are you interested in a third Diaz? I mean, does that really do anything for you? I might miss it. I care so little, I might miss it.
But I'm such a fight fan that there's fights that happen all the time that I'm not overly excited for. You know what I mean? Would I watch it? 100%.
Diaz's face is just scar tissue.
True, but still, you get 2 legends, 2 cult heroes. You know what I mean? There's other. They bring something else to the table. I could tell you something like, I wasn't overly excited for Adesanya versus Whitaker. You probably think I'm insane, but it's just not a fight that I was like.
I apologize to everyone for that.
Yeah, I know, but that's what I'm saying.
Kidding.
I'm saying different fights pull at me in different ways. I'm pretty sure that on fight night I would be invested in Diaz McGregor 3.
Fair. Okay, really quick. Second to last question. This is at Tabs1172. Connor says he's fighting in July at 155. Do you think he's telling the truth? And who do you think his opponent will be? Number one, no. I do not think Connor is fighting in July. I think he's a liar. And if this ages badly, please play this audio and laugh at me. I'm calling Connor a liar who ain't fighting in July. Is he fighting in July, Fight Geek?
Yeah,
you tell
2
me.
months from now, I just don't know who there's going to be for him to fight in that time frame.
Connor just says things because he knows it'll keep him in the headlines. So he literally says anything now. He tweets jokes about 9/11. You know, he does anything.
And people like you fly off at the handle and tweet about it nonstop, which give him power to keep doing it.
Okay, I don't like that you showed that.
All right, keep moving.
That's a good point. Damn it. Okay, moving on to, and I purposefully held this question until the end because I think it's the best one ever, our good friend Eduardo at Landa Crew. And he says, who would win in a fight between the MMA dude and the Fight Geek? Round 1, kickboxing. Round 2, grappling. And round 3, MMA fight. Who wins each round and why? Hashtag AskSplitPod.
I feel pretty strongly about all these. I've been thinking about them all
I can't wait to hear your strong opinions.
Round 1, kickboxing goes to me for sure. I think I have a distinct speed and striking advantage over you.
I've got a bit of a reach advantage.
I would give you the grappling edge in round 2.
Of course.
And then in the MMA round, I think that I could probably get you a little over-emotional based on your tweeting habits, and I could just get you to overextend, and you'll make a mistake.
Oh, man. Okay, so I have me sweeping you in all 3.
Wow, there's no way.
I have a size and reach advantage.
I will dance all around you in the kickboxing.
All right, I think we honestly have to make this happen. Listen, can someone reach out to an
all-star soccer player, dude? I would chew up your legs.
Oh my gosh, Steven Espinosa follows me. Can someone at Steven Espinosa, like, we got to make our money, but let's go. Let's make our money.
Let's make our money.
But then let's go.
So I think it's a clear 29-28 Fight Geek.
Yeah, no way in hell.
Yeah, he said yeah.
There is a chance you could win the kickboxing round, I'm not going to lie. There's 0 chance you win the grappling, and there's 0 chance you win the MMA. But you could win the kickboxing. So 29-28 for me.
I'll just start talking about John, get you all worked up, you'll get sidetracked.
Can we get this fight going? Like, let's pay guys, listen. Just pay us and you get to see it live. Like, let's go. Steven Espinosa, what's up?
I think I'd be able to play mind games with you. I'd paint it like The Warrior. You know, it's like the brothers fighting. And I'd get you all worked up.
Mm-hmm.
And
didn't the older brother lose that one? Oh, wait, he won. Fuck. Never mind. All right, okay, we're out of questions. We're out of time. We're way over. Fikey, take us away, baby.
All right, guys, you know the drill. As usual, you can find us at iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, Google Play, Stitcher, and more. I'm at the Fight Geek MMA. He's at Phil the MMA Dude. We're at Split_podcast. It's 4 words, the Split Decision Podcast. Thanks for tuning in. We will talk to you next week. Peace.
Peace.